Good morning, everybody. Ciaccio here. Throughout the weeks and weeks of dealing with agents on a regular basis, I come across things that I feel I must bring up to help everybody else out. You go through stages where agents call you up and say, Joe, we can't get their banking information. Joe, we just can't get the answer to the door. Well, the one we're talking about this week is that quoting too quickly. And what I mean by that there is that when you go into somebody's house, we tend to get excited because we're going to be sitting with somebody, we're going to be making a presentation. So what we do, we kind of derail from the way we should be going. We take shortcuts. We deviate from the steps you must take to get yourself in preparation to go over a program with these people here by asking them all the right questions. So either you haven't made a sale, you got a car payment that's due, you haven't seen anybody in the last day and you finally in front of somebody. What you got to do, I'm going to tell you, you got to tap your brakes. You need to slow down. Because what happens is that it's not getting harder to see people. What happens, agents cannot afford to buy these direct mail leads, and they're having to cut back on the amount they buy. So when they do see somebody, they get too excited. And when we get excited, we come across with what we call as commission breath. We're a little too aggressive. So I'm going to kind of go through some steps that I'm going to recommend you guys to do. But before, I'm going to tell you what happened to this one agent. He was all excited. He saw the person. They sat down. He said, Joe, they gave me all the buying signals that I needed. I said, what buying signals did they tell you? He says, well, they want to buy something. Okay? Now, when a client says they want to buy something, all that means is that they're having a conversation with you. Now, you cannot sit and say, well, I'm not going to sit and pay attention to that there. What that does to me, it makes me feel that there's some type of want or desire, yet I don't know if they got declined with somebody else. I don't know if the price they heard from somebody else was too much money. I don't know if they've got a checking account. I don't know anything about them other than what I just heard I want to buy. So what he did was that he really quickly asked them, how's your health? And they said, my health is fine. I said, okay. So what happened? He said, well, I went on and pulled out the application, the e-app, started doing an application on them, told them what it was going to cost. They liked it. They had no problem with it. They came back from applied for immediate. It came back as a modified, and the premiums went up $22. What happened? He lost the sale. Because when a client tells you their health is fine, all that means is that in their mind, that particular moment you're speaking with them, their health is fine. I've gone to clients' houses before and they said, I asked, how's your health? They say, man, my health is doing great now. Now, when they threw that three-letter word now in there, that threw up a flag to me. What happened to them 6 months ago or a year ago? So what you got to do is that you've got to take a soft step backwards and say, great, I'm glad to hear you doing fine. Kind of tell me about your health. Whatever way you want to extract that information from them, extract it. How's your health doing? Tell me about your health the last 3 years. Because what happens is that people tend to forget to tell you the truth. Because I had an agent come there before and they were declined. Could an agent come there before, wrote them an immediate, and they got a modified or graded. So what we've got to understand is that we've got carriers that will give people immediate benefits, COPD, emphysema, Parkinson's, a heart attack a little over a year ago, a stroke a little over a year ago, because we're independent brokers. We've got numerous carriers that we can pull out of our briefcase to write them immediate benefits. Some of our competitors have just one carrier. They may have two carriers, yet those two carriers they have cannot give those clients the stuff we can offer because we have more carriers to fit the client's need. That's what separates us from being a more special type of agent who can help clients with medical issues. Now, let's kind of look at this here. When you tell a client that they qualify for a program, you go through the entire process without asking the health questions, without asking the medical questions. Sometimes you're going to get lucky and buzz right through it, and it worked out perfectly. You're going to use that same plan of attack for somebody else, and there's a possibility it can backfire on you. So I've got some stuff written down. Jay will send it to everybody, that these are the things you need to ask before you even go over any carrier, any prices, immediate benefits, any of that stuff there. Because when you tell a client 10,000 is going to cost you 50 a month, and then you realize that you didn't ask all the proper health questions, and now you say I'm going to get you 10,000, but it's going to cost you 67.50, they don't want to talk to you no more. You've already given them, the bacon, the eggs, the toast, the jelly. You give them that $50 price that they kind of said, that's not bad. I heard something higher before. I was declined before. So you need to be very cautious when you're telling people. Now, let's say you go to a client's house and you're sitting visiting with them. First thing you got to do is to find out why they sent the card in. Even if you're on the phone, what motivated you to send the card in? Why did you send the card in? What's the reason you returned the card? You kind of want to get a little help from them, which that help, the reason why they sent it in, is going to help you at the end when you make your close. If they sit and say, I sent this card in because I didn't want my children to be left responsible with any of these unpaid bills, fantastic, I'm here to help you out. When you get to the end and you're going through your close, I'm going to go over some different ideas for you. So the reason you sent this card in is that you don't want your children to be left responsible with any of the unpaid bills. And I've got some ideas here I want to show you, and I want you to pick out the one you want. So when they say the reason they sent the card in will be the reason that you're going over the program at the end to refresh their memory, even though they remember, but your job is to refresh it. Now, you got to do some warm up. You got to get them to be speaking. You want them to know a little bit about you. And the name of the game of what we do is to ask questions. From there, make sure they're open-ended questions to get them to speak with you. Because agents go into homes, salespeople in general, feel the more they speak, the better it is. And it's the quite opposite. The more questions that you can ask that are open-ended, to where they can start speaking to make them feel that they're in control of the conversation, you'll get more longevity out of the whole process when you're visiting with that client, because they feel they're in control and they're doing the talking. All you're doing is that you're sprinkling a little bit of gasoline on them to where they keep on talking. And the more they talk, the more they're going to tell you about their health. Now, I tell people, I said, before I go over how the program works, I need to ask you some health questions. Is that all right? I like to ask them I want to get their permission that I can ask. Sometimes they'll say, well, I say, okay, let me ask you the health questions. So they're not going to get out of it. They're going to hear the health questions from me no matter what. Yet you want to try to get them to go, yes, 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 yes. Now, health questions. I'm going to go over all the different health questions in a sec. I got out of order. Okay. The most important thing is that you said you want to make sure your children are left with no unpaid bills. Who will be in charge of taking care of all your affairs when that sad day comes? I want all three of my kids to be in charge. I said, okay. Let me write down their names, their date of birth, so I have it down here in front of me. So they'll tell you Frankie Jones, Mary Jones, Susie Jones. Get their date of birth, write it all down. I believe in writing everything down in front of the client, because to me it makes them feel that I'm hearing them, I'm listening to them, and I'm writing it down. So I'm going to come across with them that I'm a professional. I'm not trying to memorize everything that some people do. Next thing I'll sit and ask is, what is your date of birth? They'll say 10/11/56. So you try to do some quick math in your mind. You're 66 years old, correct? Yes. Sometimes when you ask a person, how old are you? They'll say, I'm 67 years old. Then you get to the app, and you already given them the prices. You get to the application process, and you ask them, what is your date of birth? They go 10/11/56. You figured out, said, you're only 66. Oh, it's right around the corner, so I just say I'm older. So me, what's your date of birth? I figure it out, or they'll sit and tell me how old they are. How tall are you? Approximately what do you weigh? Now, if you're a salesperson that feels funny talking to a person about height and weight when they're not quite tall enough for what their size is, you can use CBS and you can use Royal Neighbors, and there are no height weight questions on those two applications. Okay? When you ask the height and weight, you can't sit and say, well, I think that's going to go with the carrier. Months ago, I had an agent call me up, said, Joe, I'm all mad and all this stuff here. Did an e-app on a client. The client weighed 3 pounds more than what the height weight chart was, and they got declined. I said, okay. I'm sorry, went from immediate to graded. I said, well, did you look at the chart? He said, well, no, Joe, I thought they were close. So with that said, make sure you look at the height weight charts for these people so you don't make a mistake like that there and blow a sale. Are you a smoker or non-smoker? I smoke. What do you smoke? Do you smoke cigars? You smoke pipes? You smoke cigarettes? No, Joe, I smoke a pipe once in a while. I do a cigar on occasion. Prosperity, one of our carriers, asked the question, do you smoke cigarettes? So Prosperity will only give you a smoker rate if you smoke cigarettes. If you do dip, you do chew, you do cigars, you do pipes, their application is set up to where they give you a non-smoker rate. Remember that. Okay? I see that you're 66 years old. Do you have your Social Security check direct deposit into your checking account or your savings account? This is very important to ask, because if you do not ask this question and you give them a carrier that does not accept a debit card or the Social Security MasterCard, you screwed up because you've given them the wrong price. They say, no, I have it going in, I get a little card. Now you got to find out what type of card they use. Then you got to find out what carriers accept debit cards or what carriers accept the Direct Express MasterCard. Got a cheat sheet in the back office. You got all that stuff written down for you. If you do not do that, you're going to get yourself in a pickle, because you're going to quote Royal Neighbors, who does not accept it, and now you got to go to a different carrier. The prices may be different, or the health questions may be different. When they say, yes, I have my money direct deposited into my checking account, you say, would you have a direct deposit on the 1st or the 3rd, or the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th Wednesday? They're going to go, I have it deposited on the 4th Wednesday of the month. Just a little bit of knowledge for you guys to have. Everybody, years and years ago, used to get their disability under 65 check direct deposit on the 1st. Seniors over 65 was on the 3rd. They've got so many people coming into that age now, they decided to add the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Wednesday. So if the birthday falls between the 1st and the 10th of the month, their check comes in on the 2nd Wednesday. The 11th through 20th, 3rd Wednesday, and the 21st through the 31st is the 4th Wednesday. So if you want, a lot of times I see, I might tell a client, I see you're 66 years old and your birthday is October 11th. You must get your check on the 3rd Wednesday of the month. And they look at you and they go, how do you know that there? Then I go through the little process. And what that's doing to them is letting them know that you know what you're doing. You're instilling a little bit more confidence in them that you're just not an order taker. You're not there just to get their money. You're a trained professional, you know what you're doing, and you know these little tips. Okay, medical questions. When they tell you my health is fine, that's fine. I like to actually pull out an application. You can get extra applications, you can go online, you can print them out. And what I like to do is give the client an application as I'm holding an application, or I'm looking on my iPad, depending on how I'm going to do the application. have them look at it. You want them to feel it. You want them to feel that they're partaking, they're involved in this process, instead of them just sitting back going, no, no, no. Let them hold that application. You're getting them one step closer saying, yes, I want to buy something, because they feel it's something tangible now. When you're talking, it's intangible. It's just words. When they hold the application, they're looking at it, they're seeing on the top your name, your age, your date of birth, all that stuff, their Social Security. Now they're getting familiar on what questions you may ask. So you go down the list with them. So based on your information, you tell them everything is good. You're probably going to answer no to all these questions, but yet it's my job to make sure that I ask you all the questions. The more I know about you, the better program I can get for you. And what you're really telling them is be upfront with me, be honest with me, let me know everything that's wrong with you so I can find you a carrier and I don't make a mistake and give you the wrong price. You don't say that, but that's what you're thinking. Because when you tell somebody a certain price and all of a sudden at the end of the game you got to change it, 95% of the time you've lost their interest and you're going to walk out of the house with nothing. Okay? Medical question. Have you had a heart attack? Yes, I did. How long ago was it? 3 years ago. Okay. Some carriers go back 1 year. Some carriers go back 2 years. Some carriers go back 3 years. So what you need to do, you need to figure out what two carriers you like using. The two carriers you feel most comfortable with. When you learn those carriers, you learn them inside out, and that's the application I would give the client. Okay? If you go with CVS, health questions, over 1 year, you can get the immediate standard. Over 2 years, you get their preferred. Mostly all carriers have a 2-year look back on heart issues, heart, stroke, TIA, all those there. Some carriers got a 3-year look back. Pick the carrier that you like. Rural Neighbors, for example, says, Joe, we're priced that if your client had a baby stroke, a mini stroke, which is called a TIA, and they had it last week, we got no problem with that there. We got no problem with that there because we're priced right for it. Other carriers have a different philosophy. So these are little things you need to start putting in your memory banks. So when you're visiting with people and you're talking with them, you already know a majority of the underwriting questions and where they'll go. So you can start directing your mind, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here. They say they had cancer. When it comes to cancer, I like to ask them, have you had cancer? Yes, I did. What type of cancer did you have? I had lung cancer. Oh boy. How long ago was that? Well, I was diagnosed in 2012. I said, okay. I said, when was the last time, when did you go to the doctor last? And the doctor said you have a clean bill of health. It was 2015, right around there. So you ask that question all the time. You just can't sit and not ask it this time. If they have cancer in 2020, okay, 2020, that's fine. When did you have your last treatment? When did the doctor say you were okie dokie? Some carriers say if the last treatment was over 2 years ago, it's immediate benefits. Some carriers are 3, some carriers are 4. Transamerica is 4 years. Mutual Omaha is 4 years. There's a 4-year look back. Not when you actually were diagnosed, is when you were told that the cancer is in remission and you have to come back for no more either chemo or radiation. That's the difference when it comes to the cancer. Heart attack is when did it occur. Cancer is not when did it start, when did you find out, is when the process was over with. Diabetes. Diabetes, everybody thinks it's kind of a scary thing. Some carriers, it's not even a question if you're an oral diabetic, insulin diabetic, the pill, the shot, when you started, when you stopped, how old you were. Some carriers don't care. Some carriers say, when did you start insulin? Okay. American Amicable, age 50. Rural Neighbors, age 30. So if you started insulin before those times, those two carriers, you can't have those carriers. CVS doesn't even ask the question. Okay. Now, another thing, when it comes to the pill, almost every carrier we have does not care when you started the pill. Mutual Omaha says if you started a pill or a shot or is even diagnosed weight controlled prior to age 50, you're graded. We've got all these sheets laid out for you guys to where you can go through the sheet. Diabetic, insulin, pill, shot, the whole 9 yards is going to tell you what carrier you can go with. Get familiar with these cheat sheets. I like to have them printed out in a paper form. Younger agents do it on their iPad, their computer, where they just zoom through it. I'm a paper guy. Let's say you're talking about diabetes and they keep on going and they say, well, I have neuropathy. Okay? Neuropathy by itself got nothing to do with anything. You're fine. You're fine. Yet when you get neuropathy and diabetes, whether it's a pill or a shot, the whole ball game changes. The whole ball game changes. Okay? Carrier to go to is Rural Neighbors. Rural Neighbors says, Joe, we're priced right for the diabetes, pill or shot with somebody that's got neuropathy. Remember that one there. Hepatitis, COPD, emphysema, Parkinson's, lupus. These items here, you need to go to the carrier placement guide chart, and it's going to tell you, it's in all in alphabetical order. There's 3 separate ones because we got about 15 different carriers that I have listed there. And you're going to be able to go down these carriers and look at COPD. Okay, I can get an immediate standard with CVS. Boom, I can get this with this carrier. I can get this with this carrier here. Then from there, you follow what's wrong with the person. Here are the things that you're going to get a graded on. Get a guaranteed issue on. When somebody tells you they're on oxygen, they had a heart attack 6 months ago, cancer 6 months ago, they're undergoing treatment for cancer 6 months ago, they're in a nursing home, they're currently in the hospital, they're in a their nursing home, I just said that there. That's an automatic guaranteed issue. Doesn't matter how good they look, how nice they are. The insurance companies are structured to where we ask the questions. It doesn't matter how they sound. It doesn't matter about any of that stuff there. If they took a medication for, mine went blank, for Alzheimer's or dementia, okay? Doesn't matter how great their memory is with you at that moment. Once they're diagnosed with something and they get a fill of medication, now they're saying, uh-oh, you cannot have immediate benefits. Okay. Health questions. Prescriptions. You need to find out what prescriptions they're on. Certain prescriptions that people take have a dual purpose. Okay? When you have a medication that has a dual purpose, some carriers will automatically judge that client with the worst thing when it comes to that medication. The worst. Doesn't matter if they use it for one process and it's also used for restless leg syndrome. They're saying, we don't care. We're going to go with the worst and your client's going to get declined. Now, if you go with a company called Prosperity or American Amicable, they have a very sweet process that they'll ask you throughout the application or at the end of the application, what is this medication used for? You answer the question correctly, bam, it'll fly. Very simple. I did it with Prosperity a while back. Lady had 3 things pop up on her. She was on oxycodone. I don't remember what the other 2 were. We answered them, bam, bam, bam. She was given immediate benefits right then and there. Medication. What medication are you currently on, and what medication have you stopped taking in the last 3 years? When a client stops taking medication because the doctor feels they don't need it anymore, the insurance company will go, okay, yet they're going to look back either 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. So you need to know the medication that they were on, they're no longer taking, because it could prevent you from getting immediate benefits, and you need to know the medication they're on now. If a client tells you, Joe, I'm on this medication here, yet I really don't take much of it anymore because I'm feeling a whole lot better. Great. Fantastic. I'm glad you're feeling better. that cannot detour your thought process. He still prescribed it. He's still getting it filled. The insurance company's not sitting there with you talking to the client. They're going through the database and they're saying, oh, he's on that medication. Yes, he can have it. No, he can't. Now, when somebody tells you they're on high blood pressure, they're on cholesterol medication, they're on a little bit of depression medication, they're on a gout med, a lot of the meds that people are on will not prevent you from giving them immediate benefits, because what we offer is what they call a simplified issue. The costs are a little bit higher, yet they're more lenient on the health questions and they're more lenient on the medications. When you want to sell a term policy, you cannot go in your mindset and think about the simplified issue, because it's not going to happen. Cancer, heart attacks, as 5 years, if not more. Totally different rules of the ball game. So remember, simplified issue, simple. Term life insurance, a little bit more challenging based on their health. And lastly, before I go over all this information with you or complete the information, I need your driver's license to make sure that I've got the correct spelling of your name, okay? Because what happens is that a lot of people, when they're telling you things, their name is Mary Jones, Mary Jones, Mary Jones, yet their name is Sarah Mary Jones, and they go by their middle name. So if you go fill out the application, you don't put Sarah first, you put Mary's her first name, the computer gets all out of whack, doesn't know what you're talking about, and there's a possibility it'll kick it and say they can't find the person. So, in closing, either on the phone, face to face, most important thing is to find out why the person sent the card in. Number two, when you do your warm-up, try to find something that makes them feel comfortable to talk about and something that you feel is necessary to discuss with your client. You want to make them feel comfortable. You want to tell them a little bit about you. I'm married, I got 4 kids, I got 2 dogs, I got 1 grandchild, been doing this business for X amount of years, really love doing it. Start telling people, I do final expense, also do Medicare, Medicare Advantage, we do some accidental programs, we do children, grandchildren policies. So you're kind of letting them know about you, so in the event they forgot to ask you about that or something that they will think about later, they're going to think about you. Okay guys, that's it. Appreciate your hard work. Hit them hard. And if you need any type of leave behinds from the carriers, go to the websites, order the stuff. They send it to you for free. Make it a great day. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.